Hi, I'm Jackie and this is my handmade home in Brooklyn, New York. This apartment is less than 400 square feet because I lived in a 500 square foot one and this one's not even close. The first thing I did was I painted the entire apartment white because I wanted it to be that like chic Brooklyn look. The more that I stepped into that, I realized how much it wasn't me. And so the first thing that I did was say it and go buy a bucket of orange paint and paint my cabinets bright orange. Then from there it was like, let's do it. So this painting is by my dad, Mike Cantwell. He did a series of these big heads like this in the 80s, and this is just one of my favorite paintings growing up. It was in our house, and it reminds me of home, and it's also where I got all the colors for the apartment. The wall color is me trying to match the peach in my dad's painting. So I didn't get it just right, but I feel like it really plays off of it nicely. The couch is really one of my favorite things here. It is a custom couch made from a guy that I found on Etsy who's making these things out in LA. Like, do I do a white couch? Do I do black? I don't know. And then there was a little bit of a pink happening in the painting. And velvet's amazing, so why not? And then this big mirror, I got it custom cut to fit that wall. So that's a cool way to open up smaller spaces too, which is why I have so many mirrors in here, because it kind of makes it seem like it's a little bit more vast than it really is. The dining area I wanted to kind of try to make separate from the rest of the house, like give it its own feel. So lighting I've found has been really helpful. DIY hit hard in the kitchen because I cook every day. Like I cook all my meals if I can. And the kitchen's really small. There's like this much counter space and it was like not gonna fly. So my proudest DIY is this pull out extra counter space. It's an old microwave top from a stand that I had from college. And then I used these L brackets, just drilled directly into the wood, and found the studs on my wall to drill these L brackets into. And I was just like, hell yeah, I did this. Like doing DIY projects like that just like gives you a sense of like, yes, I'm a woman. And then I'll show you one more thing that I have for counter space that's been really helpful, which is this piece of wood with a lip that I can put over my sink and have extra. I have this pegboard, which is made from just regular like plywood peg. There's a window seat, which is a piece of foam that I found in Chinatown, and I found a cool piece of fabric, and I just sewed that bad boy on there, and now you got a window seat. So I got a little carried away when I figured out how easy it was to make shelves, and I started putting them everywhere. So you'll notice that there's like a few kind of maybe seemingly awkwardly high shelves. But I did that as a design element, but also so that I could fit more things, because if I put it any lower, I couldn't have opened the cabinet door. Cool, so this is my spill-off kitchen area because I got a tiny kitchen. There's nothing I can do about this fridge being out in the living room, which is mad awkward, but what am I gonna do about it? I had this table from an old place and I matched the yellow from the painting to give it a little oomph. And I use old mason jars because I'm trying to live like a closer to plastic-free lifestyle, and it's also a really beautiful way to display all of my dried goods. I also have this extra shelf, and this is just a design element. Like there's no reason why that should be that high. I just kind of like it there. What do you think? I really love the bedroom. I've grown to love that it doesn't have a window and that it's like kind of small. It's just so cozy in there, and I just like feel like it's like a little hug. And this is where I sleep, so I kept it white so that it would be like nice and serene and quiet in here. One of my old buddies, Roberto Jamora, he made this painting, and it's so beautiful and calming and has that vibe that I want in this bedroom. And I decided to kind of just make it the headboard. There's a lot of items in the house that have dual purposes. Like this is actually a little bento box that was my grandma's, but it's where I keep all of my jewelry. All these little boxes I'm really using, so they're beautiful, but they also serve a purpose. Yellow was a choice for the door because of a thing that I was learning about at the time called chromotherapy, which is where you can actually use color as therapy and to like affect your mood and to like brighten your spirit. When I see yellow, I feel happy, I feel I feel alive and present and free, and that's why I did this yellow. And you'll notice that that kind of spills off into these affirmations that I post for myself. I change it out every couple of months, but I find that if I read them before I leave the house, it just like puts me in a good space.
Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is my handmade home on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. I would say my interior design style is, in general, eclectic, overwhelmingly. A little kitschy, a little quirky for sure, and also fun and feminine a little bit, yeah. I know a way that a lot of people separate their studios is with a bookshelf or something like that, and I really wanted to emphasize the open layout and also the light in here, so I didn't want to have anything blocking off the middle. And so I just use kind of rugs and intentional decor pieces like a bookshelf and things like that to separate the space without putting up any walls or partitions. I think the first thing that I bought was my periodic table of trash poster. I had wanted a larger kind of art piece, so I bought that, and it helped set the tone for the color and kind of just the quirkiness of the space. So this is basically my little dining area, and now that I freelance and work a lot from home, also turns into an office space. This bookshelf is one of the first DIY projects in the space, and also to this day one of my favorite. I saw this wallpaper pattern and loved it and needed a use for it, so I decided to do this. I think it really helps this part of the apartment feel separate because this is like an accent wall without having to commit to a wall. I really like statement earrings specifically, and jewelry in general, so I found this little spinning acrylic earring holder, and I probably am pretty much at capacity now, but it's great and super functional. This area was just a mirror, and then it turned into a plant area somehow. Most of these are actually real, some of them are fake, which I am planning to swap them out. But this arched mirror was like probably another one of the most like intentional buys. My favorite piece in my apartment by far is this clock that's back there behind me. It's from my grandparents' collection of antique clocks. It has a lot of character, and I think it's from the 1800s, which is really cool. And this is kind of a more recent addition, I would say, within the last 6 months, is my ceramic zebra under the table. I have a lot of zebras in this space, which was kind of not intentional and now is intentional. And I saw that, and like immediately, like heart was racing. I was like, give me this, I'll Venmo you right now. And so I have that now, and it's a major conversation starter and also really brought the space together over here. I also have this light up sign that I've probably only ever turned on like 4 or 5 times total. It's very bright, but it's cute. It lights up pretty. So a few months after I moved in and already did some DIYs in the space, I wanted to tackle the kitchen next. So the very first thing I did was put marble contact paper on the countertops. But then I wanted to do more, and I had seen peel and stick backsplash on YouTube and various places. So I wanted to try that. Also knew I liked wallpaper, and the wall was plain, and so I was down to do that. The last thing though was the floors, which were like those vinyl squares that you have in like classrooms at school. And I figured out that temporary floor planks are a thing, and there's a bunch of different types, so they don't have to be adhesive. I moved to New York with a set of like towels that I had gotten at Target. When I decided I wanted to do more to the bathroom, I just played off of the things I already had and committed to that blue color. And I got wallpaper, which was in a pattern that the girl who did my other wallpapers happened to make. And I love her.
I'm Allie Provost. I'm a fashion blogger and photographer based here in New York City. And if you've seen my apartment tour, you might be wondering how I'm able to fit all of my ball gowns and sparkles and polka dots into my small 500 square foot studio apartment. So I'm going to take you around and show you all of my tips and tricks on how I store and organize everything. When organizing your things, especially in a bedroom, you want to make sure you're utilizing the spaces underneath your bed. For me, having a storage bed was absolutely key, and I even purchased a storage bed that allowed me to have really deep drawers so that I can fit a lot of the bulkier items that typically take up a lot of space when they're hung and when they're folded. Similarly to the way I folded my clothes in my drawers underneath my bed, I mimic that same style here. It is Marie Kondo. I live by the way she folds. It allows you to see everything that's inside your drawer and maximize the space that you have. So when I'm putting things in my drawers, I have to make sure that everything is still visible and easily accessible. So especially when organizing accessories, I want to make sure that they're all laid out side by side versus on top of each other, because they will get lost very quickly. So all of my belts are rolled and lined up. And even when it comes to headbands, same thing. You want to make sure that they're laid out in a way that you can really take a look at each option. In a small space, every single piece of furniture has to be functional. My ottomans are no exception. I use these storage ottomans as a way to store seasonal items. Very bulky scarves are in this one, some hats, just things that I don't need every day, but I want to have accessible when I need them. Even underneath my couch, I have an additional storage. So I use this space under here to hold more shoes that are a little bit older that I just need some extra storage for, and it really keeps them all tucked away nice and neat. So this is my closet. This is where I store the majority of my clothes and my handbags. So let's take a look. So I have utilized the backs of the doors to hold all of my sunglasses. So these are actually nail polish holders that are attached via command strip. I have to say these are such a lifesaver because sunglasses are one of those things that takes up a lot of space, but it's actually really small. So utilizing the backs of the doors on this was absolutely key. In the main closet, when hanging up all of my clothes, I have to use these space-saving hangers. They limit the amount of space that hangers take up, so I'm able to fit much more clothing in here. Wearing different outfits and clothing is a part of my job. I have to make sure I'm able to store all of them properly and so that none of them get damaged. When it comes to my bags, I have to do the same thing. So I utilize this shoe shelf here to use more of the height in my closet because it was just dead space being wasted, and I wanted to make sure that I was still able to utilize that up to the ceiling as far as I could. In New York, you have to build up. You can't really build out. So when I'm storing my jewelry, I have to make sure that I'm able to see everything. I'm one of those people that if it's tucked and hidden away, I do not remember that it exists. So I have this jewelry mirror here, which allows me to effectively see everything jewelry-wise.